Can I speak to Mr. Peter Hamill?
Yes, speaking.
I'm calling from Channel 1, the Greek radio station.
Yep.
And my name is DIMITRIS ANTONOPOULOS. How are you?
I'm fine, Dimitris.
Happy birthday for yesterday.
Thank you very much.
First of all, actually, it is a great honor for me to speak with you, Mr. Peter Hamill, with an artist and a poet who uses his voice not just as a musical instrument, but most of all as a vibration element in the sound level.
Thank you.
You have recently released your new album, Clutch,
Yep.
in which you play only acoustic guitar.
That's right, yes.
Why is that? Did you want a simpler musical approach for this album?
Well, I realised when I started writing the songs for this album that there were two or three kind of strong acoustic guitar candidates, and then, I mean, every time that I do a record, I want to do something slightly different, and I want to have something of a challenge. And obviously these days, in terms of recording, it's comparatively easy to use lots of different instruments with sequencers and so on. And it seemed to me that if I just restricted myself to playing acoustic guitar, in some ways I'd be writing songs and performing in much the same way I did when I started more than 30 years or so ago. So I just I took that as a challenge, and as it turns out, I managed to meet it.
How do you feel when you listen to your previous albums? Do you feel reborn, refound?
Well, to be honest, it takes such a long period of time to make a record that by the time it's done, I kind of know it inside out. When I listen to something that's, you know, from a long, long way back, then I usually remember the period of time in which it was made rather than the music, because, as I say, I know it all so intimately. Although I can be surprised by things. For instance, when the Van der Graaf box set was coming out, I was quite surprised by a number of elements of that music. But obviously, you know, the music is the thing that I've lived my life through for these 30 years, so I do know it intimately.
You have performed in Greece for the first time 20 years ago with a
Yep.
K group.
Yep.
Since then, you have visited Greece for many times. Shall we have the pleasure to see you again soon?
I hope so. Yes, it's now been a year or a couple of years since I've been, I believe. But yes, I do hope to come back very soon. I haven't done very much touring in the last year. Obviously, there's a kind of a period of recording and then of live stuff. But I'm hoping probably sometime early next year I'd hope to come back.
How do you feel being also a father in a world that it's all liquid in many ways? How do you imagine of the world in 20 years from now?
I think it's really hard to. It's one of the worries for people of my kind of age with children. I mean, when I was growing up, my parents' generation had an idea of the world which was very black and white, and that things wouldn't change. Now, obviously, in the last 20 or 30 years, things have changed enormously in terms of speed, in terms of the information that we get, the news that we get so immediately. And I honestly don't know what the world will be in 20 years' time. I think in the end, as parents and as people, the best that we can do is simply prepare our children for to be as good human beings as they can be, and then the world will be theirs, and doubtless it will seem completely natural and normal to them.
During the past, you have worked with many artists, such as Stuart Gordon, Roger Eno. Is there a collaboration that you still remember as one of your bests?
They're all different, to be honest, and even, say, working with somebody like Stuart, he's changed over the years. I mean, obviously, for the last couple of years, or even longer than that, I've worked with him more than anybody else, I suppose, particularly as a duo in terms of playing live. But one hopes that, you know, both I change and that the musicians change, and that we discover new things both individually and collectively. So there's also the question that particularly if I'm performing live, whatever I've done in the past, it's only that one show that's being done on a particular evening that one can concentrate on. That's the kind of the excitement about playing live, as opposed to working in the studio, where obviously you're kind of gradually accumulating things and doing something that will last for much longer. So I've enjoyed working with all of the people I've collaborated with, to be honest.
Despite your prog rock and art rock inspiration, you have also composed ballet music and operatic work. What was the most interesting musical effort for you? Ballet music, opera or rock? What is rock for you nowadays?
To to be honest, whatever kind of music that I'm doing, whether it's a simple rock song or more of a pop song, or whether it's for ballet, for film, for opera, the same basic principles kind of apply. Even if it's something like musique concrète, that I'm trying to find out what a piece is about and trying to make it come to fruition in a proper way. And to be honest, I don't really have a different feeling about that, even though the styles that come out may be quite diverse. I mean, another aspect of this is that I really don't. For years, I've tried to avoid boring myself, because I think that if I bore myself, then I'll certainly bore everybody else. So I like to go from one form to another. Also, because I learn something more from each of them. But again, there isn't absolutely a favourite style.
Do you think that your Jesuit faith has contributed to your songwriting?
I think the fact that I was brought up by Jesuits, I haven't been since I left school a Catholic, in fact, but I do have a certain respect for the way that I was taught, particularly in the way that it taught me to question things. It's obviously a very, very long time ago now, though.
Yes. So, Mr. Hammill, I want to thank you for your time and for the chance you have given me to speak with you. For me, it was more than an interview. It was a beautiful conversation. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
And I hope I will meet you someday personally. I must confess that in these 15 years as a radio producer, I'm looking for your releases and everything that has to do with your music, because you are the personality who gives in the word artist its essential meaning.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you again for everything.
It's a great pleasure.
On the
and I hope to meet you next time I'm in Greece.
Okay.
Okay.